Greetings, people of Earth. Welcome back. My name is Jax, and today I wanted to give some universal dating advice. So, I think we all have different strategies, different methods, different ideas, different levels of what we think is acceptable in dating. And so, no one person's advice can really match everybody's style, strategy, what they're preferring, what they look for. Um, and there's so many nuances to dating. There's so many different ideas and concepts and theories, and people say you need to do this, you need to do that. You can't text after the first date. You have to wait 2 days. You need to wait a month or two before asking the boyfriend or girlfriend question. Are you in a talking stage? There is so much about dating that is so subjective, and it really depends on your perspective, on the other person's perspective, your communication styles, love languages. There is so much because every human being is unique and individual. Even identical twins are totally different, in my opinion. So it's hard to find the advice that works for you. What I'm going to try to do in this video is explain some universal dating advice that I think can potentially work for anybody, even if your dating style is super traditional or it's super modern and like open relationship, non-monogamous, whatever. The first piece of advice is communication. I've said this a lot, but I won't go over it very, very in detail. I'll just briefly skim over it. You need to identify the communication style that works for you guys. Some people hate texting. Some people hate FaceTiming. Some people are much better in person. Some people prefer all of the online stuff. Some people write letters to each other. But whatever the form of communication that you decide works for you and the person you're talking to, you want to be consistent. You want to be super honest. You want to let them know how you're feeling, what you're doing. You want to ask them how they are feeling, how they are doing. Those are really important things. And you also have to identify how much communication happens on a day-to-day basis. Maybe you go a few days without texting each other, and then you send long paragraphs, or you send a note now and then and keep up with each other. Maybe you schedule regular times to meet or video call or whatever. But that's a good idea. And it's going to vary based on your style, their style, everything, Harry style. But you need to like have that ironed out, because honest communication, super, super key, super important to any relationship and developing like a long-term thing. And that honesty also extends to the idea of like, what are you looking for? If you are looking for some quick and easy fun, whatever, no judgment here, you need to like make sure that that's said, because a lot of people don't have the same dating style as you do. And in order to really be able to do that, like it needs to be known. Like you can't just like lead someone on like that. That will lead to just not a good time for either of you. So honest, real, and consistent. Like it's gotta be somewhat regular, based on what you're comfortable with. And regular can be, maybe it is just like once or twice a month that you guys connect or whatever, but it has to be comfortable for you and it has to be comfortable for them. The next universal piece of dating advice is confidence. I do not know of anybody who says, I'd really like somebody who's just not very confident, really unsure of themselves, really insecure about XYZ, blah, 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 blah. That doesn't really exist. That is one of the few things in this world that we don't really go, oh, it's so attractive when a guy is super unconfident and indecisive. No, like you might be an indecisive person. I know I am quite a lot of the time. But there comes a moment when that honesty is really important, like we talked about, and being able to just be like, I would really like to do this today. And you're not offending somebody by being indecisive, or being decisive, I should say. I think a lot of us have this idea of like when our partner or when somebody we're dating is sort of like, hey, what do you want to do today? You don't want to say like, hey, I want to go to the botanical garden. I want to do this. I'd love to go to Olive Garden, whatever. um, you're not offending somebody by telling them like what you would like to do. And I think a lot of us have this idea that, oh, you know, I'll just say I don't know. Like, what do you want to do? Don't do that. I think some level of confidence, or at least knowing who you are. I think confidence is kind of maybe the wrong word. I think knowing who you are, knowing yourself is really important. Having a good self image. I talked about this a few weeks ago, but having a good self image when it comes to dating is really important, and not sacrificing who you are for another person. I think a lot of us get into a relationship and we change fundamental things about us, and that never leads to anything good. It's okay to compromise, but it's not okay to literally sacrifice yourself for the happiness of another person. It doesn't lead to a long-term relationship. If you absolutely dislike Drag Race or something, and you are sacrificing an hour of your night every single night to watch Drag Race with your partner, that's not good. You are compromising your self identity and who you are for the sake of someone else's happiness. And if it truly bothers you, you have to be honest and you have to say, hey, I really don't like this show for whatever reason. It's just not for me. You are so welcome to watch it on your own, but I'd like to watch something different, or I'm going to go off and do something myself, whatever. And that self-image of yourself is not only a very attractive quality to see in a partner, to know that they know who they are and they know what they're going to tolerate and what they're not. It's also the only way you should be living your life. Like I said, compromise is fine. Saying, okay, well, I'll watch a bit of Drag Race if you watch a little bit of, I don't know, Fast and Furious, whatever. Shows you my knowledge of pop media and social media and stuff. But, if you're willing to compromise, that's great. And if you genuinely don't mind, and who knows, maybe you do enjoy, you end up liking Drag Race or Fast and Furious or whatever. You find something that you never would have watched that you really enjoy. That's awesome. That's what a relationship should be. But don't sacrifice your self-image, and having that confidence to be able to say like, oh, actually, I really don't vibe with this. I really don't like this. I'm sorry. I hope that's okay. And 9 times out of 10, your partner will be like, yeah, that's totally fair. What would you like to do instead? And if they really want to fight on this and it's like a real red line for them, think hard and long about continuing dating with this person or being involved, because you want a little bit of give and take. It's okay to bend, not break. And as long as you feel like you're not totally compromising who you are and your self-image and your identity that you have spent your entire life developing and being. So don't compromise too much. But yeah, these kind of like universal ideas, they really do fit each dating style. I mean, some people exclusively date online. Especially in the gay community, it's sort of what we do. We date online, and it's incredible how many times you will run across someone who is like, hey, actually, I would love to just, we live halfway across the country from each other. I would love to have like FaceTime dates or get to know you through, snail mail or whatever it is. But people have an infinite number of ways that they are comfortable with dating and how they want to date and what they're looking for. And so you get to be really flexible and you get to decide sort of what is your comfort level. And I think the real power in figuring this stuff out becomes the potential for meeting somebody who has the same kind of strategy or is looking for the same thing that you're looking for. That's really powerful, because when you meet those people and you're attracted to them and the communication is honest and open, you do really have the chance of building something that is pretty special for you. I know not everybody is looking for like a long-term, I always call it like the 80-year-old sitting on the porch. Not everybody is looking for that like 60 years married kind of thing. It's what I'm looking for, but you really get to shape what you're looking for based on how you look and the way you go about it. That's another like universal dating advice thing, is try and use methods of dating that you're comfortable with, that work for you. A lot of people, even today, really want to meet somebody in person. And that requires going to places where you're going to meet people who have similar interests. So if you're a gay guy and you love going to the gym, go to different gyms, go explore, be friendly, Go up to people and be like, hey, that set was really awesome. Like, how do you, like, what is your supplement regimen or whatever? If you're somebody who wants to meet in public and meet in person, that is so available to you. And I think we feel like we're really hemmed in and we have to use social media, which works great for some people. Don't get me wrong. Meeting online is I'm sure it's probably the vast majority of people meet online nowadays. And there's nothing wrong with that. But there's also nothing wrong with understanding what dating strategy works for you and then having that honest conversation with the other person about, this is sort of how I'd like to do it. And, my timetable might be totally different than your timetable, but I just want to see if there's a compromise there. Because some people think it's acceptable to be married within the first 3 months of knowing each other. And that's fine. That has worked out for centuries. You cannot knock that strategy. There are millions of people across the world who are happily married, and they were arranged marriages. They didn't know the person until the day of the wedding. They knew the person for a week, 7 weeks, 7 years, 15 years before they got married, before they decided to establish a permanent relationship. And so you can have an opinion on what works for you, but I really don't think there is much. You shouldn't waste your time saying like, oh, that doesn't work, because everything works. Humans are infinitely intricate and diverse and different from one another. And so every single conceivable strategy of dating and, putting yourself out there works some of the time. It's just going to be a fact. It's when you're dealing with infinites and the infinite complexity of humans, every single dating strategy will work at least once. And you just have to figure out what works for you and then try and connect with people. The other and the final piece of universal dating advice that I will get into right now is keeping your heart open. It is so easy, especially after a few bad breakups, to just say, I'm done. I'm done dating. I'm going to close off my heart. I'm going to love my pets, love my family, love my friends, but I don't need this. And this is the one time in this whole universal conversation that I'm going to explicitly ask you not to do something. Don't close your heart off totally. I've thought about this like quite a lot. It's so easy just to say, you know what? This dating thing, it hurts too much. It's not fun. I'm not interested. If you're one of the people that has genuinely decided that, a long-term relationship or any kind of relationship is just not your vibe, that's awesome. Go for you. I don't know why you're watching this video. But if you're like the vast majority of us who like the idea of at least connecting with different people, whether it's non-monogamously or it's monogamously, whether it's for a quick fling or it's for the rest of your life, don't close your heart off, because you might have met some bad people. You might have had some bad experiences with people who have gone through difficulties or who were really harsh to you or had bad strategies that just didn't work with you. But like I said, there's an infinite number of people out there who want to get to know you, want to form a relationship with you. And if you close your heart off, you are never going to find them. There are a very small amount of possibilities of closing your heart off and then somehow accidentally meeting somebody. We've all seen rom-coms and stuff where the main character starts off being super happy being single and not interested in a relationship and blah, blah, blah. And then they meet a guy or a girl or somebody, and their walls slowly come down, and we watch it time and time again. We're obsessed with this whole theme. But my advice is just don't start from that point of view. Don't start from having your heart closed off and just being like, I don't need somebody, I'm perfect. Yes, you are perfect the way you are. You are constantly growing and changing and evolving. That doesn't mean that somebody else can't come into your life and make you feel special, make you feel connected. It doesn't have to be the be-all and end-all of everything. Relationships don't have to be the focal point of anybody's life, but they can be the focal point. There's nothing wrong with that being the focal point. And so that is my advice, is just don't close your heart off unnecessarily. Yes, it sucks to be hurt. It sucks to be cheated on. It sucks to be, in relationships that are bad for your health, bad for your mental well-being, but it's also awesome to be in a relationship with somebody who gets you. It's awesome to be in a relationship with somebody who, you know, keeps you from slipping on those hard days, or takes care of you when you're not feeling great, or, you know, it's a good thing. You know, it doesn't have to be a bad thing. It can be a bad thing, it doesn't have to be. So that is my universal dating advice. I hope it helps in some way or another. As always, like, moderation, balance, taking what I say with a grain of salt, all of that stuff is applying. Obviously, I'm not the ultimate wise sage on dating advice or anything, but I've been around long enough to understand that relationships can be beautiful and they don't have to last forever for them to be amazing. I've seen people who've been married for 15 years and then called it quits, and that relationship still was amazing. It still mattered. It still impacted. It still affected people. It still made those two people who were in that relationship better. So not everything has to be a fail or success. There can be all of this gray area in the middle. And I think just having a good sense of self, being honest, open, communicating with what you're okay with, what you're not okay with, compromising when it suits you, and not compromising on things that, you know, go against who you are or your values. That's all important. So again, I hope it helps. I'm not going to be closing my heart off anytime soon, and I hope you don't either. So with that being said, love to hear what you say, and as always, I will talk to you guys tomorrow.